Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pure Gold. Finances without filter, like your favorite host, Diane Garcia. Today, I'm coming with a really special guest. As most of my guests, I will say. Wonderful people. She's a designer, one of the top designers and greatest people that I have met on my company. With me, I have Randy O'Kane.
Hello, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you, Randy. Today is the first podcast that we do as a mobile podcast. So we're having another setup. We are all in Miami vibes. I'm trying to get some tone, but just work in progress. First day. So, but today we're gonna have a deep conversation about not just designing people's home, designing a life, and besides that, be one of the top creative people in a company and raise a daughter by yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So I just want to ask you, so you can tell us a little bit about you. Who is Randy O'Kane?
That's a very deep question,
Right.
Diane. Many different layers from, like you said, a mother, a daughter, a caretaker, a designer, a collaborator,
A friend.
absolutely, relative to many different people. I have brothers, I have a niece and a nephew. So I guess just like everybody else, multi-level.
Yeah. Multi-level, multi-dynamic, wonderful
Yes.
woman.
Thank you.
I would like to start to know, how do you start with designing?
You mean, how did I get involved in it?
Exactly.
Well, way back when, I had to decide what I was going to do when I was going to college. And believe it or not, back in the day, they would have a format where they would do some testing and figure out what your strengths were. I mean, it was weird. And I went to the library with my dad, and we looked at a book, and you went down your strengths, and it kind of pinpointed areas that you should, look
Go toward,
towards.
yeah.
And I graduated a year earlier than most people. I was 17 when I graduated.
Wow.
So if you think about that, I had to start thinking what I was going to do when I was 16.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, who knows what
Who
they
knows?
want to do when they're 16. So I actually thought maybe I would go into home economics education and design. I was very able to do things like mechanically. That was my strength. And I felt like interior design, which ultimately led me to be in cabinetry, is putting things together. And that's where my strength was. And I decided at 16 that if I could get into FIT in Manhattan, that I must be pretty good. And that's where it all began.
I gotta say, you are really good. You are one of the most talented people that I have known on the industry in general.
Really?
And really professional. So there are two different things. One thing is you are talented, and then the second thing, you are professional on what you do. Because there's a lot of good people like on what they do, but not a lot of commitment people.
True. And I feel like over the years, I've met a lot of people in design, and I feel like some people have their heart in the design part, but don't have the follow through with the people connection.
Yeah.
And I think one of my strengths has always been to be collaborative with other people, whether it's working with you or working with an intern or working with the head of the company. To understand how you could be more collaborative. And, maybe I could say that my parents were part of that growth because they always wanted us to be good at what we did and be honest people, have good morals, and also embrace our abilities.
And we were talking about how important it is to make connection. Remember? I think during the day or yesterday, I don't remember the day, but how important it is to give something, to at some point receive something in return. And it doesn't really has to come back from the same person, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like networking on your industry. I mean, in any industry is vital.
Right. And I think, it's such a small world. And you find out as you start working how people are interconnected.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, a little tidbit from my daughter.
Uh-huh.
She always told me, don't burn bridges. And I don't think I was as good as she was at her age, but later on I understood what it meant. That throughout, especially in an industry, you wouldn't believe how a big industry is really very small,
Yeah.
and all the people are interconnected. So if you are not kind or you don't do the right thing, it will come back to you.
It's
At
true.
some place, and you're talking about good things, I'm saying this could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So you want to, the collaboration part is so important. Helping other people get ahead, knowing people that could benefit from knowing somebody else has always been, like for me, a pass it forward kind of thought process.
And it's so funny because I have this conversation with other guests, and in different industry, like real estate, sales, and everyone talks about the important thing of make connections, because you never know who are you talking to, you never know who is looking to you, you never know who is listening
True.
to you. And I remember back in the day when I was like a professional basketball player, my parents used to tell me, yeah, you play like if someone is trying to scouting you, like someone is scouting you,
That
and
was
they're trying to recruit you to any team. And every game I used to, kill myself to do.
Don't kill yourself.
I used to like put everything, like leave my heart on the
floor.
court. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that you can do it in the court, on outside the court, because you never know.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I'm really learning about that experience so much now that I've changed my location and I'm starting fresh. And that's a whole other aspect. And I reached out to a friend of mine that I went to FIT with, as a matter of fact. And she went on
FIT, because a lot of people is not
Fashion
familiar.
Institute of Technology. It's in New York City.
New York City.
Most people think it's a fashion-only school, but there are many other majors there, including interior design, which is what I studied. And my friend Faye went to school there with me for 2 years. Then she went on to do other things and ultimately started working for Herman Miller, which is a big furniture company, commercially.
Okay.
And when I moved down here, I said to her, because she's such like an unbelievable salesperson and really great at doing what we're talking about. And I said, how do I, what are steps that I should take to get business and meet people and things like that? And she said, the first thing you do is reach out to everybody you know. And I started to do that. And then I started to make those connections that we talked about. It's definitely slow going, and it's coming from a place where I was like the top dog and got a lot of referral business.
Yes.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
But it's not something I can't achieve.
And that's another of the things that we were talking also, like it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter if you have to start all over all of it again. We are the kind of people that we go through anything, like the phoenix, like from the bottom, and then we raise again.
Exactly. And you know what? Part of it is having support from the people in your world. Having someone like you say to me, you're really good at what you do, and you start to believe more in yourself, and reaching out to people like my friend Faye. And when I started working at this company, they asked me to do some things I'd never done before. So what did I do is reach out to the people that I know that know how to do those things. My friend Peggy is a fabulous writer, and I reached out to her, not Chat GPT. I reached out to her because she had the experience and she worked as a professional in the city. And I felt like, yeah, she's a good person to reach out to for that. And my brother happens to be a professional photographer from way back, and I needed someone to do headshots. And I reached out to him and said, hey, can you do me a favor? We need to do these headshots. And he stepped up. and it worked out great. But you're not on an island. That's what you have to remember. You know, there are people in your life, in your world, that you can reach out to. And interestingly enough, you might like this story, is I was watching something with the inventor of Spanx. And she tells a very interesting story that she goes to Bergdorf Goodman.
Okay.
And it's like, who goes to Bergdorf Goodman? And people kept asking her, how did you, you know, get... She goes, I called. I asked. You know, it wasn't like a totally closed door. But if you don't reach out and you don't ask, then you're nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So she tells a story of how she invented Spanx. She made a prototype herself with her little sewing machine, and she made like a fake little packaging. And she went to meet the head buyer at Bergdorf, and the buyer said, you know, she started talking to her about her product, and she was showing it to her and whatever, and she could see how the woman's looking at her watch and looking over here and whatever, and she could tell that they were not connecting. And she said to the woman, I know this is going to seem not normal during an interview, but would you mind going to the ladies' room with me? She goes into the ladies' room with her. She wearing white pants, because that's the best way to show how Spanx are going to help you.
Yeah.
And she shows her how she looks, goes into the stall, put the Spanx on, comes out, she had orders right away.
Bye.
Yeah. And then again, people said to her, well, how did you get to her? I called her.
Yeah.
You know, how many times do we want to do something, but we're afraid to make the phone call?
Wow. So many times.
So, you know, that's great advice to me. And when I saw it, I said to myself, yeah, I'm going to reach out to people, people I don't know. I'm not the greatest cold caller in the world. That hasn't been my experience, because I was very lucky that I had a lot of referral business.
You were lucky. You were like, you have the
it goes
experience.
to your professionalism and your experience, but I did have a lot of that.
Yes.
And I felt good about that aspect, but now I'm going to a place where I don't know anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you make that happen
again?
I mean, just like with you, you're starting out with something, a new venture. How do you make that happen? You know, how does Diane make that happen?
I have same like you. I think I wouldn't say like door by door, but yes, you reach out to people, you try to connect to people, and I don't know if I say this before, but when I moved to the United States almost 4 years ago, I didn't know anybody here besides like one person. It was like my mom's friend, but
and I'm sure she was very helpful.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I was connected to someone who was going to help me to get a job, to get a house, or to get something. So yes, I went to the Avenue. I started like getting to know people. I started talking to people. I got my first job as a waitressing. Then
had you done waitressing before in Chile?
Yeah, I was a waitress too.
So
there.
you were in cold.
So the thing, no, I wasn't in cold, but the language barrier is something really important, because people here ask you a lot about, do you know English? What is your background? What do you do before? So I do have a lot of experience. I started working when I was 17, but when you're here, it's kind of people think that you are, I don't want to say nothing, but you start from zero again.
Right.
And the important thing is, yes, to start to make connections. When I was in college, I didn't do it. I didn't see it that way, because I was so focused to get out of my career and just to have good grades. And who look at your grades? Nobody.
It's funny that you say that, because I always said to Alex, because she had some, you know, challenges.
Yeah.
I always said to her, it's not about the grade. You know, it's accomplishing the thing. Get the degree. When you go on an interview for the types of jobs, in some instances, maybe they do look at your grades. Like I was at the top of my class. But for the most part, most people are going to go out. They're going to go on an interview, and there's no diploma, there's no grades being passed out. It's just that you graduated. You know, you could say you were an Olympian.
Exactly.
You know, here's what I've done, and it doesn't have to be what was my grade point average.
Exactly, because most of the people, you can have the acknowledgement, but if you don't know how to create like a good teamwork, if you don't know how to communicate yourself, that's
Right.
why it comes the language barrier. And a lot of other things that on these times or these days, some people just doesn't value that much.
Yeah.
But I think it's vital for a company to work good, to have good workers, like a good worker environment, good communication, and go with the flow of the company. Because otherwise, where are you going as a company, right?
Well, absolutely. And I think people today, when I see people working, their work ethic is not great.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I was always going the extra 100
Beyond.
miles,
Yeah.
And I didn't mind if I had to come in an extra hour or stay late or, doing things to show that I was committed. And not only committed to the company, but committed to myself.
Yes.
Because that's the type of person I was.
Yes.
And
You are.
yeah, I mean, it's important to me. It makes me feel good about myself that I accomplish something every day and I'm not taking the short shrift. And, there are days where you don't feel good, but you got to come to work. That's me.
Yeah.
I'm the person who is coughing all over the office and everybody's saying, can you please go home? Because I don't want to miss that day.
Exactly. But do you think it's something about your culture, or something about how the way you were raised, or maybe
absolutely. I'm going to tell you that when I was younger, when I first started having a job at like 16 or 17, whether it was a camp counselor or working in a store when I came home from college, I would say, I don't really feel like going in today. And I said to my father, would you call in? And he was like, no. If you don't want to go, be an adult and do the adult thing. Call, say you're not coming in.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't calling, so I
going.
I never didn't take the day off because I didn't want to be that person that had to make that phone call.
Yeah.
And then as you get more, like I feel better today at my new company, where like I want to go to New York, so I said I'd like to take a day off and add it to a weekend so I can go to New York. And, I feel perfectly fine doing it. But I also know perfectly well that I'll have my work done.
Yeah, no, for sure. But how was your change to be like a big dog, as you say, in New York? And then you come to Florida to have a great life. You still, like, the weather here is better.
Oh, my God.
And the people is nicer. So it's kind of a life change. Money is less because as an state, New York is way more expensive. You can make more money but you also spend more money. But here is also more maybe proportional, right? But you start again from zero, right?
Yes, that's the thing. So when I came here, and obviously my reason for coming was not just like, hey, I'll just go to Florida and start a new job. I would say that my father is, as you know, going to be 94, and my mom passed away a number of years ago, and I felt like I had to step up to take care of him. And in order to do that, I had to move to Florida, and I started several years before I actually moved to start interviewing and getting a sense of what was out there. And remember, I'm no youngster. And I felt like if I didn't do it now, I wouldn't be able to do it because I needed that kind of, I called it the sweet spot, where I was still hireable. And in some ways I refer, and I say this, I refer to myself as a dinosaur because I'm not doing computer-aided drafting. Although I did have a little experience last year at doing it, and I feel like if I had to, I would, but that's not my forte.
Yeah.
And not everybody, I went on some interviews where people are like, you can't do that, see you later, goodbye. It was like in the door and out the door. And yet there is a handful of people that wanted me to come work for them. And it took me a little while to, to seek them out and find them. And to be honest with you, I would say this to anybody that's looking for a job right now. Indeed and things like that are not getting you a job. I don't know what the story is with that, but what I can tell you is the best way to get a job is a referral. No, not even that.
Not even calling.
A referral. So the 2 jobs that I went on interviews, I got referrals.
Okay.
And I don't know if I would have been able to find things that with people that really valued my experience, knowing that I couldn't do the drafting end, that I would have had those chances, because people are the way they are looking at you, it's kind of quantitative. Can you do this? Can you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, you had that when you were interviewing.
Yeah.
What things can you do? Not like, what can we teach you?
Yeah.
Are you teachable?
Yeah.
There was none of that. So for me, I'm going to say, I know you're going to disagree, but I was lucky that I got 2 great referrals, actually 3, and I chose one of the jobs. I feel like the other 2 jobs are plan B and C.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not just like, that's I mean, I worked at the same company for 26 years.
Yes.
So,
Which says a lot, because on this day, people don't last on companies for many reasons. Like, maybe people don't fit on the company might not fit on you.
yes.
And that happens. Sometimes you stay in a company because it's just a process that you're living to learn, but your goal is other.
I think when I was younger, when I lived in Manhattan, when I graduated from the Fashion Institute, I got a job right away through the school. They had a work placement program, and I
Wonderful.
got a job immediately. And then through some other process at the school, I got an interview at another company, a much more advanced company.
Is that proportional? Because you just said that you were one of the best of your class. Is that proportional to get more chances to get a job?
No, not really.
No?
Because New York is a place where, who you
For
know
designers.
is what you know, that kind of thing, though. So when I went to the first job, I went to the work bank. There was a job available. I got the job, and maybe it was because I had the abilities.
Yeah.
And then my second job I got through knowing somebody else, and I was really at the bottom of the barrel. I was in a drafting room, but back then it was with the pencil.
Yeah.
And it's a very fine firm to today, Milo Kleinberg Design Associates. And unfortunately, Mr. Kleinberg passed away last year. I was very sad and reached out to the family because I felt like that was where I got my start.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, back then, in order to make more money, you would just flip from job to job. It wasn't like you had that kind of, like I did at Bellata for 26 years. This was more like I worked for Milo, and then I kind of got a little antsy and I wanted more. And then I went to a different design firm.
Yeah.
And then I went to another place. I went to work for a construction company, which was totally off the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that I kept moving, making money, and learning, like you said.
Yeah. I think during the entire process, when you're like flipping and all that, you're getting little pieces of every place, and you become
Absolutely.
and you become better in whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah. The funny thing is with the construction company is when I went to work there, I realized that some of the stuff I had been drafting at my previous firm couldn't even be built. And I didn't, I didn't realize it until I went to a construction company.
Yeah.
And I saw A plus B equals C.
Yeah.
And that's how you put it together. And that was one of the best experiences, beside growing up with a family that built buildings. So
then I have this question for you, because I know that you studied design, and then maybe back then you had this idea that, oh my God, I'm going to design, I'm gonna draw thing and everything. But how was this transition to be a designer? That's your certificate. But when you got into this company or this industry in general, you got to become into a sales people.
Yes.
How
but
was that for you?
That didn't happen right away.
That didn't happen right away?
No, because first I worked for a company where I was just in the back.
Okay.
Picking finishes and doing
Learning.
drawings. And
It's
when I went to
process.
work at Milo's place, the same thing. I wasn't doing sales.
Okay.
It wasn't until I got involved in kitchen and bath
Okay.
that I started doing sales. And
Okay.
I remember saying at the company that I thought I was hired as a designer.
Yeah.
Why do I have to like sell the job?
Yeah.
Then I realized in this industry,
Yeah.
it's all about sales.
Sales. And what kind of ability or skills you had to develop in order for you to get jobs?
Truth of the matter is, I got no education in that part of things.
But you're
Zero.
really good on communicating
Well,
and connecting to people.
but that's not something that I learned in school.
No.
Okay, that wasn't part of the program. But from the companies that I worked at, I saw that those people that were the most successful were, first of all, good communicators, didn't say no. You know, if someone asked you to do something, you got it done. And when I worked for Milo originally, I was working in the blueprint room, making blueprints. And, you know, I thought, you know how people get out of college and they're like, oh, I have this great degree. Why am I in the blueprint room? And I was never that person.
Okay.
I was like, if I need to do the blueprints, I'll do the blueprints until such time as I learn how to do the next thing and then the next thing. And I think that's more part of my personality versus something that you're going to learn. I mean, can you learn it by watching somebody else? Certainly. And I find something interesting if you look at, you know, we're working on something where a lot of people will see it. People look at Instagram a lot or Facebook or whatever their
social media.
Their social media thing is.
Yeah.
Their guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
What I find is a lot of people are talking about self-help or, you know, you're talking about money. How do you get there? What are the steps to take? And I feel like a lot more people are offering all of those things. Prior to this, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but there was Dale Carnegie. And people took the Dale Carnegie course to learn how to speak.
Oh.
And some very famous
Like to
people.
speak in public?
In public, at work, whatever the case be.
Okay.
So if you haven't read it, that's something for everybody to go back and take a look at it.
But that's like a book or what?
It's a book.
What? How did you call?
Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie. Okay, I'm gonna add it to the list because
Yeah.
we always talk about books.
And let's also, you know, like look at that and see if it's relative because it was written way long ago. But I think I'm trying to remember, there was someone famous that recently said they were always afraid to speak in public, and they took, and you could take a class apparently, and they took the Dale Carnegie course, and that helped them be able to speak to, you know, in public.
That's wonderful. I think one of the things that I had has a goal this year is to get better in communication, because the reality is it doesn't matter how much you know. The matter is how can you communicate, how much can people understand what you're saying. And
do you think, as you mentioned to me earlier today, that
ChatGPT
is going to be the avenue?
ChatGPT is for sure a great tool, but you gotta know and you gotta learn how to use it on your favor. But it can be the main thing on your skills. It can be. I mean, ChatGPT can go to your job for you.
Correct.
But like for sure, it's something that is here to stay.
Well, I think it's like spell check.
Yeah.
You know, or any of these other tools that we have. It's how you use them.
Exactly.
You know, if you rely on them to, like you said, do your job, you're in trouble. And I don't know where AI and chat is going to take you. You know, I mean, do we need to do 3D drawings anymore? Will we just like talk into Talk into the microphone.
microphone.
And have it do your work for you?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm scared of that.
But sometimes you gotta do scare things in order for you to open the next door, right?
Agreed.
And
I mean, you got to learn. You got to take.
Exactly.
And maybe it's baby steps.
Exactly.
But you get there.
I always talk about baby steps on my channel too. But anyways,
You do.
talking about all this craziness with your career and your studying and then everything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you raise your daughter and
Ooh.
between all of that?
Okay, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
And
I know.
fortunately or unfortunately, I was basically a single mom from the time Alex was 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working full time. I needed to support myself like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of a support staff in my parents,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't always there. And that was something where I really needed to compartmentalize.
Okay.
That's the word. When I was at home,
Uh-huh.
I had to give Alex 100%. When I was at work, I had to give work 100%. And I couldn't mix the two. And that I found really worked for me. So whether it was doing the homework or, making the lunches or whatever that was, when I was doing it, I was totally focused. I would say the most difficult thing was that once I took the job at Bellata's, I had a very long commute.
Okay.
It wasn't until I moved closer that it made it easier. So during the time period Alex was younger, when she was 4, I'm trying to remember how, I wasn't working at Bellata yet.
Okay.
But when I started working there and I was traveling a far distance, that was not great.
Okay.
Late to aftercare every day. The kind of aftercare that every minute is like $10.
Oh, shoot.
And single mom having a hard time making it
Yeah.
as it was. It wasn't easy.
No.
And like I said, I didn't have a real good support staff. I didn't have somebody to take care of Alex after school. So I would say that was the first thing that was difficult. The second thing that was difficult is, unfortunately, Alex was diagnosed with epilepsy and needed to be on certain medications and had some educational challenges. And I was fighting the school system. That was very difficult, much more difficult than having a problematic client. Because now you're talking about
Your daughter.
your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that was the most difficult part, and financially.
Yeah.
And I believe that you have in your questions, and you didn't ask me this, but there was a question about how did I handle my finances.
Yeah.
And I remember when my ex-husband and I split, and I was the full caretaker of Alex, that I had a book, and I wrote down all of my expenses and what my earnings were.
Okay.
And at that time, my earnings were not adding up to what my expenses were.
Okay.
And it was a different world. There
Yeah.
weren't computers.
Yeah.
So I could pay this bill this month, that bill that month, and just kind of tread water in between. And be very frugal about spending money. And it was
Tough.
a challenge.
It's because when I ask this question, is every scenario is different. Like, as a single mom, even when you want to have control of everything, it's kind of you can't. I mean, you have a child, things happen. Like she has this diagnosis about epilepsy.
Yeah.
And how you can control that? You need medication. Besides the school, I know everything here is expensive. And raise a child by yourself and try to keep everything on order.
I have to tell you, really compartmentalizing really helped me. I really didn't have a lot of trouble at work.
Okay.
Most of my more troubles were dealing with the other avenue. And not with Alex. She was a great kid, and that wasn't it. And I loved doing the school projects, and I can't tell you how many panoramas I did. And I would wait for her to come home to find out what our grade was. But the truth of the matter was, the most difficult was dealing with her illness and getting schools and nurses on board and getting doctors on board. It took me about 5 neurologists to find somebody that could get her in a position where she was stabilized.
Okay.
Now remember, kids grow.
Yeah.
And you know how medication is? You have to keep adjusting medication as children grow because they're gaining weight, they're getting taller, everything about them is changing, and the medication's effects are different. And I think I became like a research analyst about epilepsy, and I did a lot of like crazy things with the doctors. Like I felt, and I did a lot of reading, and again, was just the beginning of computers. Okay. So there wasn't like, you couldn't Google anything.
No.
You know?
No. But I also believe that even doctors, they don't know your body, your mind, everything about you to just do like, okay, you have this, and you just say, okay, that it is what it is, and this is what I have to do. You have to educate yourself about what is going on with your life.
Absolutely.
It's fine. They're professionals. Yes, but if they say that you have something, you gotta do your research, which I believe that you're really good at it.
Yes, and you have to be your own advocate.
Yeah, you
because
gotta
there's
read your body.
Nobody else out there looking out for you.
Exactly.
And your child, in my case. And I put my heart and soul into it, and it was not an easy time, but I think because of my constitution and my strength as not only a woman but as a person, that I knew what I had to do, and nothing was going to stop me.
Yeah, and we talked
We've talked about that before.
We are made of stone, or I don't know, we're made of
some people say we're made of, in the United States the term is you're made of steel.
Okay.
Like unbreakable.
Yeah.
And you know, we both as people have gone through, you know, whatever it is, whether it's mental health, whether it's physical. You've had some physical challenges. Thankfully that hasn't been my case, but whenever you're dealing with challenges, it is a full-time job. And then you have a job.
Exactly. And you gotta show up every day with a smile and put a smile on your face and go through whatever is happening. But talking about that, how you deal with the mental health when you go through all these things. We're talking about your career. We're talking about your daughter dealing with something. So how do you as a person?
I would say this. Back then, I wasn't so
open.
Wasn't so open to dealing with mental health. And as you know, a number of years ago, I started to realize that everything that I dealt with, I don't know if it was how it all happens, but I felt like I'd reached the absolute, and Alex is an adult now, but I reached the absolute pinnacle, and I could take no more.
Okay.
And I felt like emotionally that I was
drained.
Like, you know what it is? I felt like I couldn't do that managing that I had done all those years.
Yeah.
I couldn't do the compartmentalization.
Yeah.
I felt that my job wasn't very supportive of me, and all of those things start to work on your mental health. And I got COVID, and it was like too much to bear. And I reached out to my doctor, and my doctor said, you need to get some help. You need to go on some medication, and you need to get some help. And I was like open to it because I felt so awful.
Yeah.
And I needed to get some relief somewhere. And I think that's when people take drugs, start drinking, start sexting, or whatever whatever their thing is to get the relief. And because of the person that I am, I decided to reach out for help rather than take one of those other avenues. And I would say growing up with my father had a lot to do with that. And since you've had some experience with him, you might understand that he was very strict.
Yeah, he looks like
And everything was done
on his way.
and by the book. And so that's the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
From that.
Yeah.
And I would say that's true of myself and my two brothers, that we're all very strong people, and we know when something's got to get done, you get it done. So and I think the other thing is that we didn't touch on, but I would talk to, and if I were you, maybe have another guest on this subject, is women and menopause, and women and women's health, because the United States as a culture does not and has not really examined women and their health, and especially during perimenopausal and menopausal times. There has been so little done on that, and so many women were just asked to just buck up, and so you got night sweats.
Yeah.
So you don't.
I have another.
Yeah. So you don't feel good.
Yeah.
Or even through menstruation.
Yeah.
Some people couldn't even go to school. I mean, my parents were not like that. You went to school unless you were running a fever.
Yeah, mine too.
So, I don't think there's been enough done there. And I think as women, we should be supporting each other on that level.
The thing is, this is a huge topic because women in general, we go through so much different process on our childhood, then your adolescence, when you're grown up, when you're a mom, menopause period, like giving birth, like we were talking. There's so many processes that we have to live that it has no. I'm sorry for the men that are listening this, but
That's
there's nothing similar that men go through. I mean, let's put it this way. Okay, I understand they have emotion and feelings, but physically, we go through so many processes.
I always say
they're not equals.
that it's all Eve's fault. She ate the apple.
Yeah.
If she didn't eat that apple,
we would be in heaven.
We wouldn't have any of these things. But the truth is that I don't think that people really realize the impact. And I remember when I brought Alex home, and she was the most colicky baby that anybody could have. And everybody was giving me advice. You should do this. You should do that. And none of the things were working.
Yeah.
And I took her to many doctors. And now when I look back on it, it probably was the epilepsy, even at that age. But the doctors poo-poo you. They say,
They can say so many things.
The last doctor I went to see said to me, you should be happy because she won't be a bedwetter. And I'm like... Yeah, and I'm saying all I want is 4 hours of undisturbed sleep because she was constantly up.
Okay.
And so, when we're talking about that kind of thing, like, how can we be successful women when we're not getting support from other women or men in the medical field and other fields like that?
100%. But talking about that, now you brought it up. What is success for you? Now, what means for you these days?
Success for me.
I made a post and you said it depends on so many things.
Yes. Success could be measured a lot of different ways.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be measured by money. And it doesn't have to be measured by, like, people, including you, have said to me, are you dating anybody or not? That is not a form of success for me to have a partner. Would I, someday, is that for me? And did I have the experience before? Yes. I'm not sure about that, but I think success is a certain level of happiness, emotionally, physically. One of the things that I've been striving for myself is kind of to accept myself for who I am. We were talking before about makeup.
About plastic surgery.
Yep. Any of that kind of thing. Changing your physique.
Yeah.
Do you do Botox?
Yeah.
Do you do the... But, I keep hearing this kind of noise saying, accept yourself for who you are.
Yeah.
And that's been a challenge for me, a good part of my life. So I think success for me would be accepting myself for who I am. The other stuff just comes to me. You know what I
Okay.
mean? That's
Yeah.
like, you get a job, you work it, you make money, you are smart about your money. And I would say the other thing we talked about today is making sure that you're taking care of not only your mental health, which is important, and that's what I'm working on,
Yeah.
is taking care of your physical health, like things that you are not going to be able to change, like your teeth,
Yeah.
and things that you as a child,
Yeah.
you were like, oh, I didn't brush my teeth, or I didn't floss. I mean, how many times did the dentist have to tell you to floss?
Yes.
But what you find out as you get older,
Yeah.
if you don't do these things, you will reap the rewards
Yeah.
of not doing it.
Yes.
And whether it's drinking too much
Yeah.
or eating too much or not exercising,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows the things you need to do.
Yeah.
To drink water, get
Yeah.
exercise, eat healthy, get good sleep. The list is there. We all know it. So that part of things, it's like I've always known all of those things, but the one thing I could never capture is accepting myself for who I am. So that for me would be success.
I think it's wonderful, even when you give me a bunch of explanation about.
I know, I can't just give you one word.
But I do agree with you. It's like we are, as a human being, body, mind, and soul. But I don't want to put it like we are three different things. I think we are on everything. We're all. When you are taking care of your body, you will start feeling better. You are feeling like with more energy. Where you are feeling more happy. When you're eating healthy, it's all another subject. We're exercising. When you are studying something that you like. When you are surrounding yourself with people that cares about you or you love, and you're having a good time, you feel totally different. It's like when you are present in a place, you are actually
Yes.
here. You are not thinking, or you are not using your phone.
Right.
You are in the moment. You start to feel alive, and that makes a huge difference for you in all of you.
I totally agree with you. I mean, even in like going to the pool, going to the beach. For me, it's like, some people are like, oh, you're an Energizer rabbit. You just keep going, going,
No.
going, going. But the truth of the matter is, it's like, right, especially now at my age, I don't want to miss those moments.
No.
I want to take advantage of the time. I spent many years, caring for Alex and having her grow up and get on her own. And part of my leaving was cutting the cord and then, of course, taking on a new cord. But
This chapter is about you.
yes, and I've said that I really want to focus on things I enjoy doing. And like I told you, if someone doesn't want to go to the museum, it's
I
okay.
go by myself.
I can go by myself. I have that kind of assurance within myself to do that. So I feel like those are the kind of baby steps I'm getting to understanding who I am at this age, at this life, at a new place. These are all things that, it's like a new growth, growing again.
It's funny because it doesn't matter your age. You never end on knowing yourself. It's something like a everyday work, because you every day or every year you are changing. You're wanting different things. You are valuing different things. Like every chapter of your life is different. On your 20s, on your 30s, on your 40s, probably was all about Alex and get your finances together
Right.
and get all other things together. But right now you are kind of settled. You are starting again in a different state, but it's a different chapter for you. It's all about you. And in this chapter, what do you think it means for you, like abundance?
Ooh, abundance is a tough one for me.
Right?
Yeah, because it's even hard for me to define what it would mean to me. How do you look at abundance in your life? Is it with friends? Is it with, what
Has
you're
an everything?
doing now?
Has an everything?
I guess, but I never really look at abundance. It's like I'm not a collector. I don't, I don't need a lot of things.
And if I put you through like this, maybe not abundance because it's maybe can be harder, happiness.
Okay, that's a whole different story than abundance in my mind.
You
And
think
maybe
so?
the language.
No, no, I think it's not. I think
You
it's.
do?
I think it's two different words. Yes, but I do think abundance for people it means different things. Has same as happiness, but maybe happiness is more something that we may ask ourselves more than the other one. So if it's
Yeah.
easier for you that one, if you have thing what makes you happy.
That's interesting because I never think of abundance doesn't fit into my world. But happiness is, like spending time with people that you love, that enjoying a sunset. My friend Faye was telling me, and I really, I speak about her a lot because she's very spiritual and she has a lot of good things to say. She is always interested in all different kinds of things, and she was telling me how this person that she's working with now is saying you should see every sunrise and every sunset. And earlier in the year, I was going to the gym at like 5:45, which was not sustainable for me because I couldn't get up that early every day.
People
Not
sometimes
the
get
gym
obsessed.
part, but the getting up.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't get to work on time,
No,
and
no,
that
no.
was the whole thing. But I took a whole bunch of pictures of the sunrises and sunset. And as I told you, I am always looking to the sky. I love nature, and that gives me happiness. I think during COVID, I so enjoyed looking out my window and seeing animals,
Yeah.
and the grass was
They're
so green.
taking over
and-
back the streets.
Exactly. But that's the kind of thing. Flowers on my table, flowers in my yard, things that are beautiful. Surrounding yourself with beautiful people, beautiful things, enjoying beautiful food or a beautiful wine, enjoying, and maybe that is abundance, basically.
Exactly.
Now that we're talking about it, it's, in a way, abundance.
Do you
So,
think it has something to do with money? It's proportional?
I think money is an interesting thing, and I've gone through the ups and downs of money. So I understand. When I was growing up, my parents were not, flush with money, and there were some things I would have liked that I didn't get, like things that are not that important to me now.
Yeah.
But I think what it gives you is security.
Yeah.
It's not doesn't give you happiness,
No.
but it gives you security. When you put your head down at night, you know that you can pay the rent or the mortgage or the car payment or the college payment or whatever it is. So you don't have to, it's not something you have to worry about.
So security leads you to peace.
Absolutely. Because now that's one thing. You know how our minds are going,
Always thinking.
going. And if you take that one thing out, and you know that tomorrow morning you don't have to worry about putting gas in your tank, and I've been there,
Yeah. Yeah.
where I didn't have a credit card,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't rely on credit like people do today.
Yeah.
I was cash only. And there were days, and I told you about when Alex was little, after her father and I separated, I had to take from Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very
Hard.
mentally draining. So during that time period, people always say to me, why do you buy a new car? It's so wasteful to get a brand new car because you can get a used car and depreciation and all this. You know what? I waited all my life to be able to get a car that I know for 4 years I will never have to worry
Yes.
about it because during the time when Alex was little, I had a car, and I use this phrase, and I mean it. I had a car that was on the side of the road more than it was on the road. And during that time period, that was scary.
Yeah. And now you got a Lexus.
Yeah. And my father will say, why did you need, this car? Well, as you know, I spend a lot of time in a car. I mean, the car is like part of my office. And I think what my father forgets is that he told me all the time, when you're working, you need the best tools for where your work is.
Yes.
So if you're digging a ditch, you need the best shovel and the best pair of shoes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if you're going to be in your car all day,
you need the best.
You need a good car.
Yeah.
Now, do you need a Lexus? No. Could you have other cars? Yes. But
do you want it?
I did want it because I wanted something that made me feel good. Maybe a little bit of happiness. Maybe a little abundance. You
give me the answers.
Yeah.
But also, you told me something really important. Wealthy people wants to buy from successful people, and one of the things that you want to show or put up there that you are one of them.
Exactly. So it's important.
It is important.
I mean, you go to an interview and you're going to, let's say, you're in the music industry.
Yeah.
You're not going to come in a suit tied up to here and that kind of thing. You're going to wear something that makes sense to reflect what you want to do. And it probably is your personality anyway. And I think when you drive up to someone's house, I used to have a convertible BMW for a short, and it was a used car, never do that again. Drive up to someone's house, and I'll never forget, I worked for the Spitzes, and Mr. Spitz is like, wow. It makes people feel like you made all this money because you know what you're doing.
Exactly. It's true. And you are not the first person that I hear about it. So I think it makes totally sense because you want to be or want to show or you want to attract the same thing that you're having right now.
Yes.
Do you have any message for your young Randy?
Ooh. I would have done things a little differently. I wish I knew a lot of things that I know now.
You know what?
I wish I knew so many different things. And I definitely made some mistakes.
Everyone.
But, I'm getting another turn here. So I'll do it right this time.
And you have time to do it. You are in another position right now. You're trying all of it again.
Yep.
I'm so happy to have you here. Really happy that we got to do this.
Yes,
and
it was a great opportunity that sort of fell into place, right?
And I also want to thank to our sponsor, Chili Shade, that is making happen this podcast with Randy today. And I have you a little present.
Oh, I love a present.
So you can open it.
I love a surprise. I love a present.
You can open it. It's important to say.
It's got a lot of pieces and parts
right?
in this Chili Shades.
It's important to say that with every sunglasses that we sell, we donate a 10% to a nonprofit organization to clean the beach in New York.
Oh, and we were in the beach today.
Exactly.
And I don't think it needs that much cleaning
in
Florida. They're on it,
and
right?
they're free.
Oh my God, these are fantastic.
So put it on. Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, you even look cool.
I'm fashioning.
You know what? I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions now that we're doing this, and we're gonna do a little dynamic.
Okay.
You are going to respond with the first thought that you have after that.
Oh boy, that's tough for me. You know how I can't answer a question
long,
with one
short.
thought. Short answers. Okay.
Being a strong woman means.
You just keep giving it to me.
I like this.
Being a strong woman is someone that can succeed at anything.
You see, long short, and it says a lot.
Yes. Oh, sorry about
that. My personal finances are
much more impressive than they used to be.
Important? important in every level?
You mean in finances?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, unfortunately it is.
Women in this industry are?
Creative, beautiful, smart, unstoppable.
Yes. One thing I wish more people knew about a single mom.
Don't be afraid to ask them if they need some help.
Good. And I have this writing up, happiness is, but you told me that. So
Yes, we covered it all.
we covered it all.
Thank you so much.
I also want to thank EcoFlow who makes this happen. This is again our first mobile podcast. We moved down to Florida. So really happy
Hopefully
to have
forever.
you. So I'm gonna be. Stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much, Randy. Any final message to the people, or you're good?
I'm just gonna say I look very hot in these shades.
I love it. Love you, Randy. Thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned for more.
Thank you.